So it was late last night, 11:54 p.m. Eastern Time. The president tweeted a response to the Roger Goodell video from Friday night. Could it be even remotely possible that in Roger Goodell's rather interesting statement of peace and reconciliation, he was intimating that it would now be okay for the players to kneel or not to stand for the national anthem, thereby disrespecting our country and our flag? The rather interesting statement, I don't understand the intent there. That is there sarcasm? I don't know. But the bottom line is this. We have a clear reiteration from the president of that belief that was held by Drew Brees as of last Wednesday, but abandoned by Friday night, that any type of conscientious protest during the national anthem by taking a knee, taking a seat, doing anything other than standing at attention with hand on heart or salute is inherently disrespectful to the country and the flag and the military and whatever other laundry list you want to add to that, instead of understanding that this is something that is done as an exercise of freedom, of that deliberate intention of making people aware of a specific problem, the message that Colin Kaepernick was trying to send in 2016. So if the president is going to say that kneeling equals disrespect, there's going to be a segment of the country, roughly 30%, that will agree with him, that will fall in line with that. That's what we've lived the last 5 years. And it's on. We're right back to where we were in 2016 and into 2017, and that whole the comment that was made at the rally in Alabama in September of 2017 that really turned this into a major issue. They reached what I thought was a delicate truce in 2018, Chris. There was an issue with a new trade deal in Canada. There was something the NFL wanted. The administration got it. Roger Goodell thanked the president publicly. The president acknowledged that, and they reached that kind of a ceasefire, right? Well, it's over. It's over. It's back now, because I interpret what happened last week as meaning players can and will kneel during the anthem this year, and the president, who is up for re-election, if you haven't heard, in November, will be doing everything he can to turn this into an issue that gets his base sufficiently motivated to show up at the polls and vote for him. It's that simple. It's that clear, and that's what's coming for the NFL over the next 5 months.
Yeah, it seems that way. I mean, you're right when you say it's on. It does. It seems like it's on. The NFL players aren't going to back down this time, though. They don't care. They don't. And, again, their argument they're going to be able to make is, well, hey, Mr. President, if you listened a little bit more clearly the first time around, we wouldn't be in this predicament in round two. Also, what's different this time around, what you said to start the show, Mike, the court of public opinion has swayed a little bit here. There's no doubt. Do we still have the detractors from white America trying to say that racism isn't a problem in our country? Still? Sure, certainly, definitely, no doubt about it. We're never going to get rid of all of them. But I do think we've seen more eyes opened in the last 10 days to 2 weeks about this subject and the injustices and how real they are, okay? And again, I haven't been a big fan of the leadership we've gotten out of Mr. Trump, the president, to this point either, right? And I really applaud Drew Brees for standing up to him in this moment. But yeah, I don't know where it goes from right now. We're going to have a little bit of an issue, and it's going to be controversial. There's no doubt about it. But I think Americans see this issue in a different light than they did 4 years ago.
The president told Cowboys owner Jerry Jones at some point during the initial skirmish between the league and the president over the anthem that this is a winning issue for me. He liked it. He knew that it was something he could just keep banging that drum, tweet out, you must stand for the flag, you must respect the flag, that is going to be something that will get his people excited and angry and ultimately motivated to show up and vote. That's what this is all about. That's what politics ultimately boils down to, folks. Finding ways to get the people who are inclined to support you to show up on that first Tuesday in November and put your name on the ballot or press the button or whatever it is in whatever state where you vote. They want you to show up and vote for them, and then further down the ballot for candidates of like political persuasion. That's all it is. And this is a very easy topic for the president. And I was surprised he backed off of it in 2018, and my guess is that there were some backroom dealings that were done to get him to leave the NFL alone, and that's over now. That's done. Between Goodell and Breeze on Friday night, the line has been drawn in the sand, and it's obvious the NFL, at least from Roger Goodell and Drew Brees' perspective, is not going to back down here. The question is, how many owners are going to sign on for this? How many owners, especially those who have supported the president with major donations, whether to the campaign or to the inauguration fund from early 2017, how many of those owners who don't want this fight, who don't want to worry about ratings dropping again, who don't want to worry about season ticket holders canceling, assuming that season ticket holders can even show up this year, how many of those owners now are going to push back internally with Roger Goodell and with other owners who are saying, we don't care, now is the time to stand up for what's right, and we're with our players, and if that means we're against the president on this issue, then so be it, because we're with our players?
Well, yeah, I think that's it, Mike. I mean, just like you talked about with Colin Kaepernick, and you were right in so many ways the last segment, right? You know, it's time to do what's right. There's no more like, oh, we're going to play both sides. No, we've hit a period here in human history, not just America. I mean, the protests are going on all across the world right now because of these injustices. And I think that this is the first time that the NFL in this type of fight, yeah, it might not be pretty, but I think it's going to have the backing of the majority of the public here too. I do. And I think that's really going to be one of the big things to turn this, let alone what Roger Goodell said, what you just said. This league is not a league unless we have African-American football players. They're the stars of our league. There's no doubt about it. They're the meat and potatoes of our league. And we know they're passionate and they're knee-deep in this fight, which they should be. And we as white Americans, I believe, owe it to them to get right into this fight knee-deep too and start fighting it with them. And I think a lot of these smarter people running the NFL have realized that. And I think the time has come, and we're going to have to make a stand to the president and some of that part of his base. You know, I mean, the player side would argue that he's been very disrespectful to the flag in a lot of ways himself too. So this street goes both ways. You can't just call it one way.
This is that one day per year where I am reminded of the reality that we are all here on this planet for a finite period of time. And the question we all have to ask ourselves is, how do we want to be remembered? How do we want our families to remember us, our kids to remember us? And this is an issue where, to me, it's as clear as it can be. And I know that given just everything that's happening and the hard feelings and the strong feelings and the fact for a lot of people, they just don't want – I think this boils down to the reality, Chris, that people just don't want their lives to be further burdened with something else to worry about. Life is hard enough in America today, if you haven't noticed, because of the pandemic. And it's hard enough to hold it together for your families. Folks, I get that. And I know it's hard to take whatever free time you do have and to be constantly revisiting your own experiences, your own mind, your own soul, your own views on things, and just have it feel like it's all been turned upside down by the events of the last 2 weeks. I get it. But for everyone, especially people in positions of power and influence, the question becomes, how do you want to be remembered on this issue? Do you want to be remembered for doing the right thing, or do you want to be remembered for doing the expedient thing, the thing that allowed you to have 10% revenue increase this year instead of 4%? Well, and I think that's what I'm trying to impress upon everybody. Now is the moment to do the right thing.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.